Are you still waiting for the perfect time to buy your first home? Well, in today's episode, we're going to talk about timing the market and how it can actually hold you back from getting the keys to your first home. Welcome to the Homeowner Prep podcast, where every week we educate and encourage aspiring homeowners to help them buy their first home faster. If you aspire to own a home, you're in the right place, so enjoy. Do us a favor and leave a review, a rating, and be sure to subscribe. Now let's get to this week's episode. Hey, real quick before we start, I want to ask you a question. How long are you going to wait before you decide to get started? I mean, you want to buy a house and you're earning income, so what's holding you back? Visit our website at homeownerprep.com/start. You can take an online assessment and set up a free 30-minute call, and we're going to put a plan together to help you get from where you are to where you truly want to be. So don't let fear hold you back from buying your first home. All right, now back to the episode. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Homeowner Prep podcast. I'm your host, Eric Helon, and on today's episode, we're going to be talking about timing the market. We hear a lot of first-time home buyers who are waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect market conditions for them to make the move to buy their first place. And so I want to touch on some of the things that could be holding you back from buying your first home. The first thing that we often hear is, hey, I think the market's going to crash. And we heard this quite a bit in 2020 and 2021. And the concept of the market crashing wasn't really based on what was going on in the market at that time. What it was based on is a lot of folks who weren't able to afford the homes that were on the market at that time. A lot of people who didn't want to compete in order to buy their first home. And so they were hoping that the market would crash so it would give them an opportunity to buy. But I'm here to tell you that if the market were to crash, and if that was the reason that you're waiting on the sideline, then chances are there's 1,000, 100,000, millions of people who are waiting for the same conditions. And in fact, most investors are waiting for the market to crash before they jump into the market. So how do you compete as a first-time home buyer? Typically, first-time home buyers are putting little to no money down. And even if they are, they're first-time home buyers. They're not going to compete against cash offers and investors who are scooping up properties when markets crash. So if you're waiting to jump into the market and buy your first place until the market crashes, chances are you're setting yourself up for failure. The second reason we often hear first-time home buyers waiting and trying to time the market is because interest rates are too high. And again, this kind of goes back to a budget issue, not necessarily an economic or a market issue. If the interest rates are, say, 7%, and you can't buy $1 million home, but you can buy maybe a $750,000 home because that payment works for you and fits into your budget, then I would suggest that you buy the $750,000 house. I mean, if the rates do come down, it gives you some buying power, true, but oftentimes what we see are more buyers coming into the market when rates come down. So what does that do for you as a first-time home buyer? Well, now you're competing against everybody. So if other folks are getting out of the market because rates are too high, then that's a time where you can take advantage, have little to no competition, and maybe even get some of the conditions and some of the negotiation in your favor because sellers really need to sell. So when rates are higher, it actually works in your favor as a first-time home buyer. Now, one of the things that I often tell my clients is that you're going to marry the home, but you're going to date the rate. Meaning your rate can always change. If rates do come down in a year, 2 years, you can always refinance, take advantage of the lower rate, but you are actually in a home. And again, if rates are coming down and buyers are coming into the market, you have a great chance for additional appreciation because market conditions may rise. And then you're actually benefiting from that instead of it hurting you or working against you as a first-time home buyer. So if the rates are a little higher, maybe you buy a starter home. Maybe you spend a little less money on the home so that the mortgage payment actually fits your budget and you take advantage of rates being lower down the road. Again, you want to marry the home and date the rate. Now, there are some indicators that you should pay attention to. And really, when it comes down to it, if you are pre-approved to buy a house, you should be taking advantage of that opportunity because your pre-approval is not guaranteed. Most pre-approvals are only good for 60 to 90 days. And if your conditions were to change, God forbid you lose a job or you have something on your credit pop up, it can actually disqualify you from buying a house. So if you've gone through the process of budgeting and saving and maybe taking advantage of a down payment assistance program so that you're ready to go and you've been pre-approved, then you should take advantage right away. So what indicators should you look for when it comes to trying to time the market? The best way that you can time the market is to actually know what's going on in the market. You need to know how many of the homes that you like, the homes that you would consider buying, are having multiple offers. How many are making price adjustments? Are the homes appreciating in your neighborhood or are they depreciating? You need to really understand these key indicators to figure out if it's really a good time for you to buy in this market. Now, I have a saying, and folks who know me often hear me say, the best time to buy a house was yesterday. The second best time is today. And so definitely take advantage of the fact that you can get pre-approved, you can qualify and a payment does fit into your budget, and take advantage of the economic issues that are going on as well. So if rates are up, then traditionally there'll be lower competition. And also sellers will be willing to accept an offer with better terms in your favor as the buyer. So definitely take advantage. But if you really want to understand what the market is doing and where it's going, take a look at what's going on in your neighborhood. Are there multiple offers? Are sellers dropping their listing prices? And are you seeing more for sale signs popping up? If not, then it's probably a pretty stable market that's out there. If multiple offers are taking place, chances are you're not going to see a market crash like everybody would love to see so that they can buy at the bottom. I actually was working with some buyers recently, and when we started out, their price point that they were qualified for gave them more options. And over time, as we were out in the market and looking at homes, they started to notice that prices were actually rising. Now, this was a time where the market was supposed to be crashing. Everybody was waiting for the market to crash. And in fact, prices were going up. More buyers were starting to take advantage of the opportunities that were in the market at that time. And so I'm always the contrarian. If people are getting out of the market, that's when you should be getting into the market. And so if you are seeing that, hey, there are fewer offers being made, there's fewer homes coming on the market, it might be a good time for you as a buyer to go ahead and take advantage of those market conditions. So don't sit back on the fence waiting for a market to crash. Again, you're going to have some steep competition when that does happen. Also, don't worry so much about the rate as long as it's in your budget, as long as you can qualify and you can comfortably make those monthly mortgage payments. You shouldn't be living to pay the mortgage, but you should definitely take advantage of paying your own mortgage instead of paying the landlord's mortgage. If you have any questions about how to get started and if it's the right time for you, again, that depends on your budget and your own financial conditions, you can reach out to us at homeownerprep.com/start. There you'll get some information about who we are as a nonprofit organization. You'll be able to download our ebook, Stop Paying Rent. You'll actually be able to take an online assessment if you choose to do so. And if you truly are ready to go and you just need to be connected with a real estate agent or a lender in your area, we can do that for you as well. If you have any direct questions, if you have a particular situation and you just have a quick question that you want to ask, the best way to do that is to actually reach out to us on social media. And the easiest way to do that is to actually reach out to us on Instagram at Homeowner Prep. There you can ask your direct questions and we'll be able to get right back to you. I hope you got some value from today's episode. I hope you realize that when it comes to timing the market, it really depends on your own personal timing, not necessarily the market conditions. And I definitely hope that you learn that you need to buy a home as soon as you possibly can and as soon as you can afford to. I look forward to providing you with some more great information on the next episode. And until then, be blessed. If you've enjoyed this show and got some great value from it, please be sure to rate and review. And if you're checking it out on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe. That really does help us to continue the show and bring in some great guests to help you on your home buying journey.